isn't it?
I don't know how to share the screen on this. Let's see.
There's a button on the bottom, share
Okay.
screen.
Oh, here we go. Yeah, thank you. Okay. There. Let me bring this up. Can you see that?
I can see that's perfect, and I can see you.
Okay. Okay, so I'll just keep it like this, and then that way I'm still kind of looking at the camera while my other screen is doing the slides.
Yeah.
So that's perfect.
Okay, yeah, that's perfect.
Okay, so I'll stop sharing. Let's bring you and do full screen.
You could just leave it up.
Oh, is that okay?
Sure.
Okay.
Yeah. I just leave it, and then
okay.
you can, that's great.
Okay.
I didn't hear your presentation, but I did see the slides. My sister sent it to me.
Oh, nice. Who's your sister?
Hetty Bing.
Oh, Hetty. She's lovely. Did she get her deck painted this summer?
I think she did.
Nice.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
She's got what has she got? Koi. She's got a koi pond, and she had about 8 of them in there, and the raccoons or bears got them all.
Oh.
Yeah.
Well, that's awful. The only thing is that all of my buttons are gone now.
Oh, along the bottom?
Yeah. Hmm.
Mine are there. If you move your cursor down there, it just, you can't see them.
No. Hmm. That's very weird. I've never.
Are they on your screen where you see yourself?
Oh, okay, there they go. They're on my share screen.
Okay.
Okay. I don't need that. Okay. Oh, I see. Okay. Stop share is up there. Okay, that's fine. Perfect. I haven't used Zoom before. We use Teams because of just the Microsoft platform, so I haven't presented in Zoom. So thanks for letting me jump on a little bit early.
I thought we should go on early because I'm not very good at this either.
No, it was actually really good that this was virtual because are people okay? We'll stop talking.
I'll let these people in.
Okay.
Good morning, everyone. I'm just giving people another minute to see there's still people joining the Zoom today. So first of all, I just welcome everyone. And if you saw the email, I apologize to Marlena. The wrong name was on there. So please accept my apology for that. Today's presentation is by Marlena Jackson. She's from Benjamin Moore and Company. And I just want to tell you a bit about Marlena. She has over 20 years of interior design experience with a focus on coatings and residential and commercial design. And she received her diploma of interior design from BCIT. And I know that's a good course. And many years ago, I took it myself. So today, Marlena will give us some insights on color and paint in environments for aging. So Marlena, if you'd like to go ahead, please. Thank you for joining
so much
us.
for that, Candace. Yeah, thanks everyone. I hope everyone's enjoying their Thursday. It's nice and sunny where I am, and I hope that you have some sun as well. So as Candace mentioned, I'm going to be talking to you today about creating environments that are helpful to the aging population. As we know, there's a lot of differences that come with being able to access and to be able to have a full life in our environments. And it's one of those things that we're starting to see more and more of in design is how color and paint can assist with those. So let's get started. The aging population is changing throughout the world. So why is this happening? Why are people living longer? Declining fertility, as well as advances in education, medicine, and nutrition, are increasing life expectancy worldwide. We have heard a friend that when they're turning 30, it's the new 20, 40 is the new 30, and now 60 is the new 20. It's a new day. The 65-year-old today is very different than the 65-year-old 20 years ago, or even 10 years ago. For as long as records have been kept, young children have outnumbered older people. However, in the next few years, people over the age of 65 will outnumber children under the age of 5 for the first time in history. Even more dramatic a change is that projected in 2050, the elderly are expected to outnumber children aged 14 and under. In 2010, an estimated 524 million people were aged 65 or older. That's 8% of the world's population. By 2050, this number is expected to nearly triple by about 1.5 billion, representing 16% of the world's population. The US population aged 65 and over was 40.2 million in 2010 and projected to rise by 88.5 million by 2050. The Canadian population aged 65 and over was 5 million in 2011 and projected to double by 10 million by 2036. These stats make it clear the dramatic impact of the baby boom generation on the population. The aging of the population presents vast societal changes to ensuring that our infrastructures can support the needs of older people, enabling them to live healthy, independent, and productive lives. To meet these challenges, we must rethink our ideas of aging and redefine what it means to be, quote unquote, older. In fact, we're seeing this rise in more options, more customized designs for needs in quality living environments, and no longer a cookie cutter approach is going to be acceptable. We see adults wanting their parents to have quality housing options and experiences. And that looks like modifications to existing housing stock and changes in new construction to accommodate older residents' future needs. And so it comes as no surprise that designing senior care environments is needed, and the design professional has a unique opportunity to contribute to this need. By designing spaces that encourage exploration, movement, and most importantly, social interaction, we are helping to maintain the positive quality of life that this older population will experience for years to come. By having this conversation and implementing this way of design, we stay ahead of the curve. Construction and design environments for older persons that are functional, health, and safety, and you are uniquely qualified to create supportive, livable environments for older persons. So this conversation goes further than aging in place in your home. This is really about transforming every interior environment. I call this a step beyond the ADA. We hear about universal design, all the elements. They'll be considered in future buildings and structures. We see the WELL building standard is starting to tap into this thought process by looking at the biologies or humanness within design. The ASID study of homeowners 35 and older reported that 1 in 4 of those are planning to make modifications to their existing home to accommodate an aging parent or spouse in anticipation of their own future needs. Things like improving access, widening doors and hallways, adding grab bars, and the quality or quantity of lighting is very important to a person with vision problems. So how does design support aging in place? There are 5 key factors to be considered with designing for the elderly. Vision, requiring additional sources of light and its intensity. Hearing, the reduction of ambient noise. Strength, which would impact reach, mobility, and agility. Color perception, which we are learning more about and requires more attention to contrast and the spectrum. And also memory and orientations, environments in wayfinding. So challenges and some questions that we need to start asking ourselves with the change in demographics. New challenges that face society will be how to manage the larger populations with increased health problems, those that are a natural part of the aging process, as well as diseases more likely to develop with age. What sorts of living accommodations will this growing population require? And how can the design team meet their challenging health needs? Aging and diseases can affect many aspects of daily life that depend on mobility, independence, and social environment. In this presentation, we'll focus on health and aging, how they affect the eyes, and most especially color perception. Many options are available for environments for the aging, from home-based to facility care, and color decisions are important in all these settings. Guidelines for color will be discussed, as well as the potential contributions proper color use can make to quality of life's activities. Lastly, the practical applications of color guidelines will be reviewed in terms of high-performing, low VOC paint and its benefits. Sorry about the animations there. That makes it a little bit more fun to look at. Eye health in the aging. As the rest of the body ages, so do the eyes. Vision problems can be caused by diseases, but declining vision is also a general symptom of aging. Vision is a complex process. While the eye collects visual information, it is our brains that interpret this information and allow us to, quote unquote, see. So we will see in the following slides that reference to the macula and optical nerve. Age-related macular degeneration, or AMD, alone does not lead to complete blindness, but its effects can interfere with everyday activities. Recognizing faces, driving, writing, and reading can become particularly difficult or impossible. Age-related macular degeneration is the most common cause of vision loss in those 50 and older. The degeneration of the macula causes central vision to become blurred. As the disease progresses, the blurry area may grow larger. Objects may become distorted or appear less bright than they used to be. It's the reason why the aging tend to be drawn to brighter, more saturated colors, because they have a hard time seeing the muted tones due to the yellowing of the lens. This is an example of what age-related macular degeneration might look like in those suffering from it. as you can see, the center area of the eye as vision becomes very blurry and the colors around it lose their brightness. I'll just go back so that we can see the difference here. Keep in mind, cataract surgery reports back that they can see and understand better than ever before. Cataracts can impact vision in two ways, through clouding or through yellowing as the cataract forms. The yellowing lenses can give vision a yellowish or brownish tinge, and this makes blues, blue-greens, and purples appear gray. And it becomes very difficult to tell these hues apart or to distinguish them from black if they are very dark. And here's the example of what cataracts might look like to those having it. So I'll go back again so we can see the difference. Diabetic retinopathy. All diabetics are at risk of this disease, but the likeliness increases the longer a person has had diabetes. Retinopathy may be treated with laser surgery, which might help to save the remaining vision, but has the side effect of a reduction in color vision. I think you're seeing a little bit of a trend here with all of the color vision diseases. Diabetic retinopathy is caused by the changes in the retina's blood vessels. They may swell or leak fluid into the center of the macula, causing blurred vision, or abnormal fragile blood vessels may start to grow. They can leak blood and cause blockages or blurred vision. Retinopathy may be treated with laser surgery, which might help to save the remaining vision. But again, the side effects is a reduction in color vision. And here's the example. Pretty dramatic. Okay, moving on to the next. Glaucoma. Pressure inside the eyes, as well as high blood pressure, are risk factors for glaucoma, and people 60 and over are at higher risk. Glaucoma causes the slow loss of peripheral vision, so that the vision appears as through a tunnel and may progress to the point of complete vision loss. Glaucoma is a group of diseases that damages the optic nerve. One of the early symptoms of glaucoma can be diminishing color vision, and some glaucoma patients have difficulty distinguishing colors from one from the next. So let's have an example here. So again, going back to that that tunnel vision. And here's normal and with the glaucoma. These are again just examples and not necessarily exactly what some of these optical diseases would look like. We're going to talk about dementia. There are many types of dementia, the most common of which is Alzheimer's, but another type can occur with Parkinson's disease. Because dementia generally afflicts the older population, as this segment grows, so will the urgency to address the needs of dementia. Vision is dependent on the eyes and to collect that information and to the brain to interpret that. So changes occur even when the eyes of someone with dementia their eyes are totally healthy, that those images can still be improperly being reported back to the brain. Dementia sufferers eventually lose the ability to judge depth. So high color contrast is required to discern one object next to another. For example, a white plate on a white table will be almost impossible to see, and dark colors on the floor might look like holes or pools of water that must be stepped over. Complex patterns or designs become confusing, distracting, and difficult to interpret. Bold stripes may look like they're moving, and a pattern of white dots on a dark background may look like specks of tissue that need to be picked up. Even daily interactions with, in this example, shadow that is being created from a vertical blind in a window. Whereas one afternoon it might not be there, but then the next hour when the sun comes out, they're apparent. And those might feel like a blockage for someone with dementia, as they feel now that they're trapped because they can't walk over all of these holes in the floor. Alzheimer's is not just a disease occurring in old age. Early onset Alzheimer's can afflict people in their 40s or 50s. Up to 5% of Alzheimer's sufferers are in these younger years. Alzheimer's disease worsens over time, and there is currently no cure. A survival range can range from 4 to 20 years. Alzheimer's does make up 60 to 80% of dementia cases. The Alzheimer's Association has projected the prevalence of the disease to as much as triple between now and 2050. These estimates highlight the potential increased burden on the healthcare system, nursing care facilities, and families affected by such diagnoses. And in the Canadian projected rise, we're about the same target as the US is projecting, obviously with a smaller population, but similar percentage increase. As of 2015, 75.5 million people worldwide are living with dementia, or more than the total population of Canada. Total healthcare costs for people with dementia amount to more than 1% of the global gross domestic product, or $604 billion. Another disease that is impacting with dementia is Parkinson's. It's estimated that 1 million Americans have Parkinson's, and there is, again, no known cure. From the onset of Parkinson's, the average length of time before dementia develops is approximately 10 years. The vision changes that can occur with dementia are similar to Alzheimer's and Parkinson's. So we're going to look at some examples of blue and yellow color blindness. That's one of the most prevalent forms of color blindness. Again, this is conceptual only. So on the slide on the left, you can see that the colors are bright. We've got some yellows, blues, reds, whites, another greeny yellow here, blue, green, blue. And this is, again, a simulation only. But people who are affected will definitely see these colors very different. Another form of color blindness is a green-red color blindness, which appears more prevalent in men over women. Quality of life remains a goal of paramount importance. The goals for aging should be to try to maintain as many of these elements as possible for as long as possible. Harvard Graduate School of Housing Studies has coined housing as the linchpin of well-being. If you think of what a linchpin is, it's a person or a thing vital to something else. Housing is vital to our well-being, specifically with financial security, physical security, and social connections. So how do aging eyes see color? Light transmission is one part of color perception. The second part of perceiving color is the eye's reception and the brain's interpretation of the light. The health and age of the viewer's eyes have a huge impact on color perception, and changes in color perception are a normal result of aging eyes, even in healthy people. As we age, the lens of the eye yellows as it gets harder. This affects color perception, especially in differentiating between the shades of blue, green, and purple, because of the yellowing lens tends to absorb and scatter the blue light. Overall, contrast becomes less noticeable, and we lose the ability to discriminate among unsaturated or pale colors. Pastel tones and cool hues are more difficult to see after the age of 60. The difference between an object and its background becomes more difficult to distinguish if they are of similar hues. Aging eyes are best able to discriminate among highly saturated or bright and intense colors at the warm end of the spectrum, which would include red, orange, and yellow. Sheen. Glare and light reflected off of a surface can cause visual difficulties for anyone. Imagine trying to read off of a shiny printed page in strong light. Glossy surfaces can create great difficulty for aging eyes. As we age, the pupil becomes smaller and less responsive to variations in light. It becomes more difficult to see in dim light as well, and glare becomes less tolerable because the pupil is less able to adapt to the change in lighting. Shiny floors, reflective countertops, and glossy wall finishes can produce enough shine and glare that can be almost blinding to the aging. Paint gloss levels, sometimes called sheen, describe how much light is reflected by the paint. Flat or eggshell paints are the best alternative in environments for the aging. Today's high-quality paints have scrub and stain-resistant qualities that make them suitable for healthcare environments. Sheen information can be located in a manufacturer's technical data sheets, and sheen is an important factor for touch-ups. In general, the flatter the finish, the better the touch-up. Consider especially that higher quality paints make better for touch-ups. So here are some colors to avoid. While a neutral palette may be appealing in certain environments, it does not benefit a person with reduced color perception. Some things to think about are yellow color schemes may be hard to distinguish for people who have yellowing lenses. And colors of similar hue that are adjacent on the color wheel next to each other are hard to discriminate for those with color deficiencies. So what to use instead? Contrast is the most important design aspect to emphasize. More important than the color selected is the degree of color contrast between the adjacent objects. We often get asked in the field which colors are most important in these decisions. Contrast can compensate for both impaired vision, such as eye diseases, and impaired visual processing in the cases of dementia. A simple change in a paint color is much less expensive than costly renovations in terms of independent navigation and orientation. Contrasts can include a contrast of hue, such as a red and yellow or a white and a blue. Contrast of value, which is the lightness and darkness between a color. So a same hue, say a red, a dark red, and then a pink. Or a contrast of a cool color against a warm color, in the case of a red and a green, or a blue and an orange. A useful tool in selecting contrasting colors is to compare the light reflectance value, or LRV. LRV is the total quality of visible and usable light that is reflected by a surface at all wavelengths and at all directions. So in other words, LRV is a tool used to determine how much light a color reflects versus how much it absorbs. LRV is measured in percentages from 0 to 100. 0 is assumed to be absolute black, while 100 is absolute most reflective white. The average blackest black that a color has is about 5%, and an extremely white is only about 85%. Anything below the midpoint of 50, the color will tend to be darker and absorbing more light than it reflects back into a room. Colors that are higher will reflect, color that is higher than 50 will reflect into a room, and color that is lower will absorb more light. When using yellows, especially, it is essential to be careful of the intensity of the color, as it is one of the most reflective colors on the visible spectrum. The more area it covers, the intensity of the color will grow. When checking out or trying to specify colors, always check the manufacturer's fan deck or the website for the LRV values. So now let's look at some specific spaces. Colors used to highlight in a bathroom. All white or neutral tone bathrooms make for a clean look, but they are very difficult for an elderly person to navigate. If the toilet, sink, and bathtub should stand out against the wall, their colors should be easy to find. A bathroom can present many hazards, even for those without compromised color perception. Therefore, color contrast can make bathroom use safe and effective. In a bedroom, the wall color behind the bed should contrast with the bed's headboard to make it more visible. Contrasting the color of that wall with the rest of the room is also effective. Doors and frames should be painted a contrasting color from the wall to be highlighted, and light switch covers that contrast with the wall will be easier to find. The same concept of color contrast is important in the dining, kitchen, and living areas of the home, a retirement community, or institution. When furniture and furnishings are purchased already, choosing a contrasting paint color is again an economical and highly effective method to make the objects in the room stand out. Some examples are the wall color should contrast against furniture and furnishings, contrast table settings, handrails that are a contrasted color to the wall, and edges of stairs that are clearly visible. So let's look at some spaces and facilities. The first image shows a hallway that would be very daunting, honestly, to anyone, in my opinion, because everything looks the same. The hallway design in image 2 allows for easy navigation, with the contrasting handrail and the doors that are different color than the walls. Although I think I might paint those door colors a little bit different still. Fear of falling can immobilize an older person. A lack of color contrast in a hallway can make residents so anxious that they will not feel confident enough to navigate it. And that will reduce the opportunities for meaningful social engagement in the common areas that these hallways lead to. So some examples are color contrast can help some features stand out. Seeing the way to navigate instills confidence. Resting spots might be needed, adding chairs or benches, and handrails being a clear contrasted color against the wall will encourage forward movement. So, color to facilitate navigation. Orientation within a space is particularly difficult for dementia sufferers. A person may successfully use the handrails to navigate a hallway, but may be confused upon arriving at the destination or endpoint. Visual clues as to the purpose of the room or area can help make sense of the setting. Being able to answer, "What does this room look like it's for?" will help a dementia sufferer feel less anxious and disoriented. If the room's palette is neutral, the defining features of the room, such as furniture, appliances, or fixtures, will blend together in the view of a person struggling to understand or recognize the surroundings. Color design that eases navigation to activity and communal areas helps discourage isolation from remaining in personal spaces. Strong color contrast between the furniture and wall color is inviting and makes navigation safer and easier, drawing a person into the room for social interaction. Just want to call out that the restaurant image is an example of a bad design for the elderly. The tables and the chairs are much too close together, and a patterned tablecloth can be very disorienting. Dementia Services Development Center recommends that the color of the floor, surface area, walls, and ceiling to be at least 30 LRVs apart to provide good contrast. But equally important is where the color falls on the LRV scale. You will not see much of a contrast if the colors all fall either below or above the 50% range. So in this next section here, we're going to look at some cues and some ways that we can help dementia sufferers be able to navigate their surroundings. So in aid to wayfinding, the bed ensures prominent color contrast between the floor and the bed and the color of the cover sheet and the pillow. Some people with dementia may not be able to recognize themselves, so it might be considered to removing all mirrors if this is a problem. Vinyl is a very soft and safer option over conventional hard materials like tile or hardwood floors. Unobstructive sight lines from the bedroom to the toilet. So again, being able to quickly find your way. Ensure clear color contrast between the walls and the light switches so that they're able to be easily identified without any difficulty. And going into the kitchen, we want to look at some maybe glass fronted cabinets to allow quick and easy access to see what's in there. And also a good idea is to use toughened glass to reduce the risk of breaking, or even plexiglass if it becomes readily available again. Being able to quickly and clearly identify the hot and cold water taps using red and blue colors. You can also put into hot water cutoff services if that's, again, something that's going to be an issue down the road to prevent scalding. A sliding door to close the kitchen off when necessary. And this would match the same color as the countertops, is to become, again, an obscure spot so that people, again, with dementia don't feel like they want to cross that. A workspace that can include people who are either want to sit and watch and chat or to assist. And this is, again, going back to what does this room look like it's being used for? Having photos in the space that clearly call out the function is a great way to allow a dementia sufferer to have quicker recollection of what the space is being used for. So in this case, fruit or food. Alzheimer's doesn't just affect memory. The symptoms can manifest as a preoccupation with wanting to leave or wanting to return home. And readily apparent exit doors can increase that urge and accompanying anxiety. Many dementia patients feel a compulsion to wander or walk, and a wandering patient may continually try to open doors upon sight. A patient exiting an Alzheimer's facility unnoticed can present several dangers. The patient could get lost and may not be able to communicate well enough to be easily helped. A door opening into a stairwell can result in falls and other injuries, and can occur if a patient leaves a care facility. So some things that can be done is that, in the opposite to what we were talking about using color for contrast, we can use the contrast to actually hide things. So hide or disguise doors while not compromising residents' independence or free will in their safety. So a patient may experience reduced urges to leave if exit doors are not clearly visible, and this can in turn lead to them feeling more relaxed within their space. So as you can see, the closet door here is a little hidden with the fact that it's disguised with some leaf and a little bit more less contrast between the wall. Also, having the large bookcase in front of it, again, doesn't necessarily show off that it's a door right away. So now that we've discussed the color perception difficulties and needs of the aging population, we'll turn to a practical application of these guidelines. Paint to be used in care facilities, retirement communities, or private homes should be chosen based on several considerations. They must not affect the indoor air quality for the health of the residents. They must be durable enough to withstand high traffic environments, and they must be resistant to stains, cleaners, and scrubbing. We're going to chat about VOCs. And if anyone hasn't heard about VOCs, they are volatile organic compounds. These are basically chemicals used to manufacture and maintain building materials, interior furnishings, cleaning products, and personal care products. Volatile means that the chemicals evaporate or can get easily into the air at room temperature. And organic means that these chemicals are carbon-based. The term chemical emissions refers to the VOCs as they evaporate into the air. The majority of everyday chemical exposures occur through the air we breathe into our homes, offices, schools, and other indoor environments. Concentrations of many VOCs are constantly higher indoors than outdoors. There may be anywhere from 50 to hundreds of individual VOCs in the indoor air at any time. And these are some of the items in which VOCs can be found of. Has anyone ever got new carpet and walked in the next day and had that smell of new carpet? Or those new mattresses that come in the boxes that are all wrapped up? The second that they're open, you smell the smell of new mattress. That's again those VOCs that are being put into the air as they are being evaporated. Long-term exposure to VOCs can cause damage to the liver, kidney, and central nervous system. So again, these are things that we need to be into consideration of. Obviously, we're not going to avoid VOCs at every level, but again, being aware of what we do bring into our homes and into our facilities is something to be very mindful of. Some paints will emit VOCs. The basic components of paint have not changed over time and include the four following: pigments, which provide color and hide; a binder, which holds the pigments and particles together; a solvent, which thins and allows the paint to be spread onto a wall or substrate; and additives, to modify those properties such as mildicides, defoaming agents, or rust inhibitors. So how are VOCs found in paint? Well, they're found in coalescing agents, which help form a continuous film on the paint; glycols, which help the paint resist damage from freezing; and solvents that enhance the flow and the amount of time that a paint can be worked on before it dries. The other big thing for VOCs is something called universal colorants. So, what do we look for in a low VOC paint? Low VOC paint is considered by the Environmental Protection Agency to have anything less than 250 grams per full gallon of paint. California South Air Coast Air Quality Management, which is a very large thing to say, has a very tough limit of 50 grams of VOC per liter. And most paint manufacturers will voluntarily meet this high strict level. It's also important to remember that the levels on the paint can are measured in an untinted base. So this is before color is added, and tinting can actually add 100 grams per liter more to a can of paint. So we want to talk about waterborne colorants as opposed to universal colorants. New waterborne technology has proven to increase overall performance of coatings as well as offering low VOC and VOC emissions. Some of those advantages to these waterborne products are low odor, low emissions, low VOC, easy cleanup, no rub-off, gloss retention, fade resistance, non-yellowing quality, flexibility, and stain walking. Waterborne colorants offer an unlimited palette with no additional VOCs. Technology is continuing to evolve so that high-quality paint is made from plant-based formulas containing biorenewable ingredients, zero emissions, and low odor. So when we're talking about paint, we want to talk about high-quality paint that will last longer and withstand washing and scrubbing better than lower-quality paints. Because long-lasting paint will tolerate high traffic, it will result in less repainting disruption for the residents of the homes or patients in a nursing care. Paint needs to be able to withstand frequent and heavy washing and scrubbing in an environment where the health of the residents is of particular concern. Flat or eggshell finishes are better for the elderly because of the glare reflected off of a high gloss finish can be particularly irritating and even painful for aging eyes. Of utmost importance, it is the paint selected should have low VOCs and low odor. As stated, tints can add VOCs to paint, so be sure to specify a paint that uses waterborne technology to ensure the paints retain their low VOC properties even after tinting it in any color. Green Seal, founded in 1889, is an independent nonprofit organization which promotes the manufacture, purchase, and use of environmentally friendly products and service. The Green Seal is considered the mark of environmental responsibility. Green Seal reviews the chemical compositions of paint products submitted by the manufacturer. It also tests stain resistance, opaqueness, hardness of film, and scrub resistance. To achieve a Green Seal, a product must meet the Green Seal environmental standards as demonstrated by rigorous evaluation, testing, and the plant visit. Look for a high-quality paint that meets these stringent standards. Another thing to keep in mind is the asthma and allergy-friendly certification program. This program was created by top medical experts in 2006 with the mission to empower consumers to make an informed purchase decision when choosing allergen avoidance products. Independently tested, and this will identify consumer products that are more suitable for the 60+ million people living with asthma and allergies. So again, let's just go over what to look for when we're buying our paint for the next project. So a high performance, low VOC paint, less than 50 grams per liter of VOCs after tinting, self-priming, virtually odorless, 100% acrylic, fade resistance, easy cleanup with soap and water, quick drying for a return to service as soon as possible, meets or exceeds the standards of the independent third parties such as LEED and MPI Green Performance, meets or exceeds the published chemical restrictions and performance criteria included in the Green Seal, and could be asthma and allergy certified friendly. Putting these guidelines into practice can greatly help increase your quality of life. Some of the diseases we spoke about today do not have a cure, so using design to help the aging population maintain their independence, sense of control, and place of belonging can start simply by choosing the proper colors and, most important, the proper contrasts. As the baby boom population ages, our society is facing new challenges with an explosion in the number of senior citizens. New health issues must be dealt with, those that come with normal aging of the eyes, as well as diseases that can affect vision or vision perception, including the ability to perceive color. As we grow older, maintaining independence, control, and a feeling of belonging increases our quality of life. Struggling with diminished color perception can hinder the ability to complete day-to-day activities and can challenge a sense of well-being. Proper color application can facilitate low vision. A person who can see doorways, I just saw something in the chat and I got Confused. A person who can see doorways, furnishings, and handrails clearly in spite of vision or perception difficulties will feel confident, less anxious, and more oriented in navigating the environment, and may thus be drawn into increased social participation and interaction. Paint is the easiest, most economical way to add contrast to the environment in any type of housing for the elderly, from a private home to an assisted living facility to nursing care. Putting these guidelines into practical practice should incorporate high quality, low VOC paint that is suitable for all environments for the aging. Long-lasting, odor-free paint will provide the color needed without unhealthy side effects or disruption to residents. So here's some of the resources, and I can absolutely send out these if anyone would like some more further information on this. And that's all I have for you today. Is there, hold on half a second here. I'm going to get this back up. Is there questions in the chat? Let's see. Does anyone have any questions?
Well, I have a comment.
Sure.
I thought I knew a bit about paint, but now I've learned a lot today, so it's really been great.
Oh, good.
And I certainly, as I'm aging, I see the difference with my own eyesight. Yeah, things are just not as clear as they used to be. So
yeah, I have to. I'm turning 40 this year, and I mean, I know I'm a baby. I know I'm a baby. That's all right. But even at